Hey, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society Podcast, reminding you that this podcast is a member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Check out all the other great podcasts on the network at selfdefenseradio.net.
Welcome to Unload and Show Clear, the podcast about all things IDPA. And now, here's your host, President of the Non-Threat Assassination Squad, Lloyd Bailey.
Welcome to another episode of Unload and Show Clear. All too often, gun owners and gun culture are portrayed in the worst possible ways in the media. This podcast aims to counter that narrative by shining a light on the members of gun culture who are involved in IDPA, International Defensive Pistol Association. Now, while IDPA members make up just a tiny fraction of the overall gun-owning public, I think they're a representative cross-section of that demographic. From all walks of life, rich, poor, and in between, young and old, men and women, patriotic, caring, friendly, and outgoing. And this podcast is about them. Today, you're going to meet one of these awesome people. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Here is this week's special guest. Our guest for today's show is Jackie Russo from Federal Way, Washington. Jackie, welcome to the show.
Hi, hello, Lloyd. I'm happy to be here.
Well, tell us a little about yourself. Tell us what you do there in Federal Way.
Well, I am a Corgi lover. I have my Corgi here, by the way, and she's nestled at my feet. But I am retired law enforcement officer. I spent 3 decades in law enforcement. I retired about 5-6 years ago as a sergeant with the Port of Seattle Police Department. My husband, Joey Russo, still works there because he's younger than me. So he's got a couple more years left. But yeah, I love law enforcement. I love doing police work. Can't say that I miss it now that everything's a YouTube moment with so
right.
I'm glad I got out before then. In fact, Joey said to me, "You are so lucky. You started in law enforcement before Rodney King." I said, "Yeah, things have changed a lot over those years, but yeah." I stayed retired for a couple of years and got bored being retired, believe it or not. So now I work for Big Brown. I work as a U.S. Customs brokerage representative, which means basically all the crap that is made in China and Vietnam gets shipped over the seas. Mm-hmm. I type in all that information so it can clear customs and gets on the shelf at Costco. I work for Costco, but there's other companies. But anyway, so when you shop at Costco, listeners, when you're going down those big aisles and you see the giant teddy bears, you see the drones, you see the furniture and the trees, I helped bring it. Merry Christmas early.
So you were in law enforcement for 30 years. So what got you involved in law enforcement? What made you decide that was the career for you?
Well, that's funny because I became interested as a police officer just as the time that women were allowed to work patrol in the late 70s, 1977. So I thought, well, that's an unusual career. It's not what's usually open to women, and it paid the same as a man. So I'm like, okay. So basically, I sort of set my sights on law enforcement when I was in high school. And I became a police explorer. All my college degrees were focused towards law enforcement. So sort of worked into that, which is how I got interested in guns. I bought my first revolver, Model 19, Smith & Wesson, when I was 19, I want to say. Model 19 when I was 19. And so anyway, that was my first gun, and I wish I still had it. But most of us, when we're young, we're like, oh, I don't want it anymore.
I'll trade it for something newer.
Yeah, Beretta, actually. 92F. But anyway, so that's how I got started, and it was a very rewarding career. What can I say? I really enjoyed it. And
So where did the interest in competitive shooting come from? How did you get started there?
Actually, Joey, he started an IDPA, I think in 2014. And I mean, I was like, I just retired from law enforcement. I'm like, I'm not interested. What? No, you go do your gun thing. And it's like snowing and raining. It's like, I'm going to go do my ceramics thing, because I was into ceramics at the time. And it's like, I hated, believe it or not, I did not like quals, even though I was a SWAT officer back in the late 90s. But I was like, I don't like quals. I don't want to go to the range. It's pain. It's wet. And I don't want to do that. Why would I do it for free? I used to get paid to go to the range. I don't want to do that. He's like, oh, come on, let's go. So, okay, fellas, buy your girlfriend or wife a pink range bag, and then tell her she can decorate it any way she wants. Because he came home with a pink range bag. He says, here. I'm like, are you kidding? He's like, no. He says, oh, and here's I retired with my Glock 19. It's here. Da, da, da. I'm like, I'll buy all your gear. And you have a pink range bag. I'm like, okay. So I did he took me, of course it was raining and miserable, but I persevered and did my first match back in 2017. Yeah, late 2016, early 2017, I think. Yeah. And so I would just do it, because it was a couple thing, and it was all right. And so he's like, oh, let's go. So then he starts taking me to state matches, like out of state. I'm like, okay. So we ended up going to Arizona State's match in January. I'm thinking, okay, I'll do this. Right? Arizona, January, it's got to be great. We show up. It's cold and it's raining. And I'm just like, really? Why am I doing this again? And I'm paying. I'm paying to be here in the rain. Okay.
The logic of this just not making sense, right?
Yeah. There was like a nice hotel we were staying in, But, I stuck with it. We ran through the stages, and I was a novice at the time. And we were there with a bunch of other Washington State shooters. So it was fun. We had a regular group of people we shoot with. And I ended up winning my division and getting a match bump. I'm like, what? I'm like, are you kidding me? I won? Was I the only one in the division? So I like to say that was the moment I stopped participating and started competing.
What division are you competing in now? What gun are you still using the Glock 19?
I have the Glock 19 and I'm shooting CCP Sharpshooter. And Joey is like, yeah, he's so sweet. He's like, you're much more effective with a full size Glock. I'm like, yeah, but I like my Glock 19 and it has my little Corgi, motif on it, and that the Glock store did for me, custom design. It's cute. It's so when you go up to the line and the SO says, load and make ready, and they see the little running Corgi on it, and this gentleman says, oh, that is cute. And Joey's like, no, let's shoot SSP. So he went and got a Glock 17R. It's a training pistol. It's resettable, and it's red.
Oh.
And so he took the grip and then put the Glock innards on it and the Glock slide. So I can shoot that SSP if I want a red Glock. Which it's really cool, but it'll come back out in November when we go down for the Pro-Am Blue Line over at Del Toro range in Albuquerque in November. So I'll bring it out for that. In the meantime, it's the Corgi pistol, compact Corgi pistol, CCP.
And you are the founder of the Corgi Nation pistol team, is that right?
I am. I am. We have some. Yeah, we have team members. You know, and that was so cool. I didn't know how many people had corgis were involved in the shooting sports. When I sort of did it as a goof, you know,
right.
because there's a Corgi Nation Facebook group, and I designed this patch that has my former corgi on it, my current corgi's great grandpa. And I designed the patch and had it made, and I was just going to get one and wear it on my vest, but you know, price point means you got to buy 100 of them, so it's reasonable. So I started just to put them up for charity auctions for corgi causes, and people were bidding like $70 for this patch. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got like 100 of them. So I ended up selling them to people, for $10 or whatever, and I was just surprised how many people were just like, oh my gosh, corgis and pistols, And so that sort of just blossomed from there into, I had some hats made, for this year, because this was the inaugural year for the corgi pistol. But anyway, yeah, it's just been fun meeting people who have corgis, and they shoot IDPA. We also shoot another Sport Action Shooting International, which is sort of like IDPA Light. It's sort of like a feeder group for competitive shooting. It's more relaxed. You don't have to shoot from a holster, and you can shoot 22s if you want. And it's expanding. But even there, it's like, oh, I have a corgi, or I used to have a corgi. Anyway, so
who knew?
Who knew?
Corgis and competitive shooting go together like peanut butter and chocolate.
Well, I say we don't have a rifle team because their legs are too short.
That's So was the Arizona match, that was your first sanctioned match?
Yes.
What have you shot since then? You shot nationals last year.
Shot nationals a couple of times. We went to New York. We did the Empire match last June. We just went to Albuquerque, the Scorcher, and we're returning in November. We shoot the Western down in Sacramento area a couple of times.
You shoot Idaho and
Washington State. We have that match.
Washington State. And then you made it down for Texas.
The Silver Dollar.
This year? The Silver Dollar.
Yeah.
The last couple seasons. And you just finished Colorado State.
Correct.
Which I hear was a good match.
It was fabulous. Fabulous facility. The 12 stages were the most challenging that I have ever competed in. I mean, that was superlative. Just amazing. Just lots of movers and swingers, and a lot of strategy involved. It was, how you can kind of divide up matches by, it's a accuracy match, it's a speed match.
Right.
This one was thinking man's match, because you really it was a strategy match. You had to really think how you were going to approach each stage. And of course, when you're shooting CCP or CDP, then that's another factor. It's like, when do I, do a proactive reload? Do I, just burn it out? And, all the round counting just made it that much more of a challenge. And it was awesome.
Very cool. How often do you practice and prepare for these matches? Do you have a regular schedule? Do you dry fire?
Oh my gosh. Joey's downstairs probably right now dry firing. I like to watch him dry fire. We have all those little cardboard targets all over the house. I should dry fire. I would be a much better shooter if I dry fired more, and I understand that, but I'm kind of lazy. But we are members at Federal Way Guns, so we we practice at least once a week there. And then because I have a membership, we get one bay day a month.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we have our own swingers and drop turners. And so we just like Nationals is coming up. So next week we have a bay day. We'll drag those things in and set them up. And we have a couple hours where we'll kind of do some stages and some practicing that. So at least once a week.
Do you have a specific drill or set of drills that you run when you go to the range?
Yeah. What I like to do is I usually start out with a 5-round string with my match ammo at 15, 17 yards, which is the length of the indoor range. And then I'll go through and do 2 to the body, 1 to the head with practice ammo. And then I'll take, believe it or not, Post-it notes. This is the boring yellow Post-it notes. And I'll put 3 on the bottom. And I'll load up 3 mags of 5. And I'll do strong hand, reload, freestyle 2 hands, reload, and then dominant or support hand. And I'll do that a couple of times just to get the smooth transition and get more of the, one-handed shooting in. And then whenever Joey's done doing whatever he's doing, we do our final, which is we do dot torture. We do Langdon's target, which is 4 rounds in 3 mags, which is, and 1 shot from the holster in, was a 3-inch circle. And, yeah. Okay. And so you get a chance to, just practice that precision shooting. And it really lets you know when you're hacking on the trigger, because it's like, oh, it's out. Mm-hmm. And now Joey just started me on a drill. I can't remember the name of it. I should yell at him downstairs. What is it called? But it's 2 4-inch circles and 2 magazines with 5 rounds and 1 magazine into 1 circle in less than 5 seconds. So I've been working on that just to get on the trigger, but be consistent and get it all in the circle. So,
what distance?
7 yards?
7 yards.
5 or 7 yards. Yeah, I think it's 5 yards. It's probably 5 yards. It's not that far away. But yeah, it's when he first started me on it, I'm just like a total dork. And he's like, okay, this is your cadence. Because, well, I guess I should say Joey is a master instructor for the state of Washington. So, he's a great coach. He's like, okay, this is the cadence it's supposed to be. Bang, 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 bang. Oh, okay. And that's actually 5 seconds. Like, oh, all right. So it's not to be super fast. it's steady and, just that cadence. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2.
So what is it about IDPA that you love? What is it that hooked you and makes you keep coming back to it? What is it you love about the sport?
I know it sounds corny, but I love the scenarios. I really do. I like it when they put some effort into, writing the story, and it kind of, gets me in the mood, so to speak. But it's also the people. It's so funny because when I was at Colorado, we had some downtime and we were just, BSing with them, our squad mates, and and I'd see somebody that I knew from another match, and this gentleman who was sitting across from me says, "Do you shoot with these people all the time? You seem to know a lot of people." I was like, "Well, we compete in so many matches that we see a lot of the same people, and it's not like we compete all the time on like a same squad, but we just know everybody. It's just that camaraderie." And, doing stage strategy, all of a sudden you get, when you shoot CCP, it's like, there's not too many CCP shooters, but there's lots of CVP shooters. So it's like, you're strategizing with them. Yeah, it's a lot of it is the people. I mean, I have met so many nice folks, and I'm also active in our local A Girl and a Gun chapter in Puyallup, Washington, and a lot of them are gals who don't have a lot of, they have good basic pistol skills, but they don't have a lot of confidence. And so I'm so excited that I'm getting more and more of them interested in Action Shooting International, ASI. So I've introduced them to, they've come to matches. I make sure they're in our squad. Joy and I became range officers for ASI. And my ultimate goal is to get them comfortable in competing so that maybe they want to work their way up to IDPA, a little bit more of a challenge. But, they're working on their skills. And there's another group called A Well-Armed Woman. And their lead is getting involved in ASI also and getting her gals involved. More women in the sport means, it's nice having other women on your squad. They just don't know how to emphasize that enough. I mean, because you think of things differently. For instance, if I can kind of go back. So at Washington State match, I was, there was this one stage that had 2 movers on it, and it was an interesting stage. So all the guys were like, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to run up and do this and this and this. And I'm standing there. And then one of the other competitors, his girlfriend she wasn't shooting, but she was there for, moral support. And I know her. And I said, I think I'm going to take I'm going to stand back here because I know I'm not fast enough to do, run up there and take care of those 2 targets. So I'm going to stand here and I'm going to address the stationary, that mover, and then I'm going to swing over and, to the left and take care of that swinger. And anyway, so I had strategized all that. And she's like, that's exactly what I would do too. That makes more sense. I said, yeah. So I'm like the 3rd or 4th shooter. So I'm watching the guys, run up. Half of them can't get the second mover because they're too slow or whatever. So it's my turn. I handled it just like I said I was going to do. And I got all my shots on target. And it's like, hey, there you go. See? Yay, women are smart. We did it. So anyway, it was funny. And a couple of them said, geez, that was really a good way to do it. Yeah, well, sometimes it helps to think like a woman. We know our limitations.
Exactly.
I guess that's part of it. Like, guys have this idea, like, well, I can do all this. And I'm like, I know I can't do that. I'm a realist with my abilities. I enjoy just going out and shooting and the stages and the people. And it's just, it's a great hobby. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me.
All right, that's all we've got for you today. Thank you so much to our special guest for coming on the show. If you know somebody in the IDPA community who deserves some recognition, I'd love to talk to them. Send me an email at Lloyd, LLOYD, at unloadpodcast.com. Check out the show notes for today's episode and listen to past episodes at unloadpodcast.com. And if you like what you hear on the show and you'd like to support us, help keep the lights on, pay the bills, we would love your support. Visit patreon.com/unload and make a small monthly contribution to help continue what we're doing here. Tune in again next week for another edition of Unload and Show Clear.